You're listening to Dramas Over Flowers with Saya, Anissa, and Paroma. Hi, I'm Saya.
I'm Anissa.
And I'm Paroma. Welcome back to another Yak. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Yay!
And today's episode is brought to you by our amazing patrons. Thank you, patrons.
And welcome to all the new ones. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Let us know if you are enjoying all of our really emotional drama rants and
Our unhinged ramblings on Patreon.
yeah, occasional BTS detours and all of that. Okay, guys. So what are we discussing today?
Saya, this is you. You had something that you wanted to start with.
I
Go.
did. I was just looking up a few dramas and I realized that a million dramas are airing and wow, we haven't been trying to keep up, have we? I usually think Parma's keeping up on everything, but even she's watching one and she's rage watching it. So
Yeah. No,
There's so
I
many
have a few
dramas.
happy places, but I mean, honestly, there are so many dramas. It's almost and also not even just so many K dramas. There are so many C dramas. I've recently started watching more Taiwanese dramas, so I have way too many Asian dramas on my plate, and so my focus has narrowed to maybe a couple that I can keep up with, and that's all I'm doing.
yeah, I keep on seeing casting news of this actor or that actor and this show and that premise. And I go, that looks interesting. Well, that looks interesting. But then when it comes to it, I just don't have the energy to watch them. And so, you go back to 2014 and decide to watch an old revenge mellow that
Yeah.
destroyed you the first time you watched it.
I'm not going back to anything, but I also just feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of what's coming out. And this is partly also why we stopped doing What's Up in Dramaland, right? Is because it became such a huge task to even find out what was coming out. A lot of them didn't have release dates, and then it was also just what? This is too much.
Also, how many? It became a situation where we would have 18 dramas that we would have to be it's coming out in this month. It's all coming
And
out
then
over
the air
next
dates
month.
kept changing. Yeah.
That, but also, how many of those 18 dramas could we possibly be excited about? Even if the premise sounded nice, there's no way we'll be able to watch
right.
all of
Realistic.
that.
Yeah, I would often be like, "This sounds interesting. I'll check it out," and then I'm like, "I'm not gonna check this
No.
out." I don't
Yeah.
have time
And
to
do
check
you
this out.
guys do you guys have that thing where if you haven't caught it when it's airing or while it's starting, that once it's finished you don't have any momentum to go and begin it even if you were interested?
It does feel more heavy to start something that's 8 or 9 episodes in, because then I feel like I have to catch up if I want to be part of the sort of the live watching
Zeitgeist,
experience.
yeah.
Once it's over, then I'm like, okay, I'll watch it at some point. Then I'm just more likely to
And then
just
you
forget
don't.
about it. Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I don't tend to unless it's something I'm really excited about, like a UNR drama or something. I'm not going to generally start with the first weeks anyway. I'm going to usually wait for a couple of weeks to go by before I start. And I don't really mind being behind on the zeitgeist because then all of the conversation has already happened and I can look them up and read it. And I don't have
Yeah.
to be part of the heavy emotions.
I like starting when 2 weeks have already aired. That's my perfect
Yeah.
starting time, because you kind of get a vibe of whether it's even worth starting, especially now that there's 8 million dramas coming out. Before, in 2009-10, when I first started watching dramas, there were maybe the 3 big channels had their main dramas for, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then there was the weekend drama, which most of the time I wouldn't watch unless it was really getting a lot of good buzz, because I was it's 50 episodes, whatever. So you would have maybe 6 dramas airing at any one particular time, and probably a couple of them we weren't interested in because of genre or whatever. It was easy to watch everything. But now you can't do that. And so then giving it 2 weeks gives you a chance to hear the buzz. So then you can immediately kind of drop a couple of things
Yeah.
from your list. And then also, if you do start it and you really like it, then you have 4 hours to watch instead of being there's less waiting. That it kind of gives yourself more time.
For me, it's the other advantage of having a few weeks is that I tend to find that with dramas, at least as far as my own reactions are concerned, sometimes I am very reactionary. Like my first thought and my first instincts are not necessarily the best analysis. So,
But they are
if I-
entertaining.
they are entertaining, which is why you guys get to hear most of it and not anyone else. But and our patrons too these days. But I'm so sorry for that. But the thing is, I find that if I allow a few weeks to go by and other people have had those reactions online already, I can come in later, read them, and feel like, okay, I can see things from a little bit of distance now, like because I'm approaching the conversation a little late, and also things have cooled down a little bit. Like basically the worst reactions are already out there. So
That's really funny.
That just, I know it's a really sad.
The other thing that I used to find about watching 4 episodes of a 16-episode drama, which I kind of feel like isn't as reliably true anymore, because the way that a lot of dramas are like having different lengths and different formats, and they're coming out on different platforms, and they're trying to do different things and reach different audiences, and they're thinking of themselves in a different way, all that stuff. But I used to find that if you watch 4 episodes of a 16-episode drama, you could generally get a good idea of like, what is this drama trying to say? Where is it going? What is its tone? What matters to this story? Where's the writer and director going with this? And I feel like in like 90% of the cases, whatever I felt after 4 episodes would generally be my reaction. Unless it was one of those like dramas that like takes the hard left turn in the last like episode and just like kills off the main character or something, like something. Obviously those are always outliers, but in general, I used to find that a very reliable guide of like, am I going to like this drama, and is it going somewhere that I like, am going to enjoy? And I don't really feel like that's as much the case anymore. Sometimes one episode will tell you, a lot of times you get halfway through and it's like a totally different drama. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's much harder to get a read on what a drama is going to be. And this, generally, I would say this applies to like OTT dramas, like Netflix
Especially.
or Disney or whatever.
Yeah.
Particularly with them. I mean, on the one hand, I think it's good to be experimental. But on the other hand, I feel like the purpose, like what the dramas are trying to do, are no longer what like TV dramas, like network dramas are trying to do, or they're trying to appeal to a different kind of audience or too broad an audience. And so it sort of goes halfway on both of them and ends up not being satisfying for either audience. I mean, to go back a little bit, for like one of the very early Netflix originals, like Vagabond, the Isenki drama, the action thriller, I think that's the case that immediately comes to mind of a drama that was like, it went halfway to where it was meant to be going, and then it just kind of dropped the ball, and it could have been a satisfying drama if they had committed to one model,
Right.
but like the drama wouldn't commit to completing its story, but then it didn't get a second season, I guess. But also it didn't create itself as a story that could have been finished within the season. Like, a season has to finish its arc.
Yeah.
Vagabond didn't even finish its arc. It just sort of brought you full circle, literally back to the beginning. Literally back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I think if you're trying to, it's like 2 things, right? It's 1, you're trying to be too many things to too many people.
Yeah.
And 2, you're trying to like slot yourself into this like hamster wheel of endless content where you're always leaving yourself open to making more and continuing the story, which is like kind of been really detrimental to cinema in general as well.
It's gotten to this point where when I see a drama is a Netflix original, I automatically am turned off from it. And it didn't used to be that way. But like now I know, they're not going to give me a satisfying story. I'll wait until everyone says it's amazing. And then I don't want to watch it because everyone says it's amazing. Because I'm contrary like that. I can't do it.
Talking about feeling the pressure to watch something because everyone says it's amazing. I just watched Titanic for the first time in my life last night.
Do not let go of my hand! I'll never let go.
Do you know, actually, I understand that because I also watched it for the first time. Like, it was probably about 10 years ago now, but it was still like 20 years after it came out.
Well, when it came
how
out,
was
I
it
was not
then?
allowed to go to the theater.
Same,
I was too
same.
young to see it. Everyone was talking about the, draw me like your French girl scene. It was very scandalous in
God.
1997. So I wasn't allowed to watch that. And I don't think that I even really went to the theater at that time.
Can we recall that era for a moment, just in context? Because I was in year 8 at that time when Titanic came out, which is, I think, 7th grade for you guys. I was 12 or 13.
I was in 7th grade too.
Oh, because you were ahead.
Yeah.
And I just remember, so the year before that, we'd had Romeo and Juliet. This was the Leo DiCaprio golden era. This was his bloom. This was when he, look at pictures of him then.
I was looking at his face last night and I was like, you're a baby. You're so young.
But people who know him now, like from now, and young people who know him from now, they will just see that Ajashi guy and they won't realize that that flower boy, like literally he was a flower boy and his bloom lasted for like 5 minutes. But those two films, Romeo and Juliet, blew up in, the whole universe. And, we were like 11, 12, 13-year-old girls, my entire class, my entire school, the year was crazy for it. There was one girl in my class who went to see, I think it was Romeo and Juliet or it was Titanic. She went to see it 9 times. And like every weekend she'd come back and talk about how she'd gone to see it for like the 9th time, the 8th time. And it was just like, it was a time. Leo DiCaprio was a pin-up at that age. He was the pin-up for teenage girls when I was a teenage girl. And that era is so long gone, I don't think, people in their 20s or whatever, they won't remember that now. Or they
I think also, I mean, that was for our demographic, that was one thing. But then also it was just, like, the spectacle of what James Cameron did for that film.
Yeah.
The all of the publicity around the movie before it came out. No. But I mean, talking about, like, larger cultural context.
Yes,
Sorry, I know this is a K-drama podcast.
No,
just give me, like, 5 minutes. But, like... the way that he that section of the ship that like becomes vertical when it sinks,
it's still amazing.
He built that. He made a scale model and he like flooded like a gigantic swimming pool and he like filmed all of that. And people were like, "This man is crazy. This movie is gonna fail. He's gonna become
such a hard
bankrupt."
time getting funding for that.
Yeah, because everyone was like, "What are you doing? This is insane.
Yeah.
Nobody is gonna watch this movie." And you're like sending your career off a cliff. And then it was like the most successful thing that he had ever done up to that point. Obviously, he's done even more successful things.
And then, like, 30 years
later,
made
Terminator. So it's not like he
Song
was
Joong Ki drama reference Titanic.
I mean,
he finally has reached the pinnacle of success.
But I mean, it was like the original meme movie, honestly, in a lot of ways. People were, doing the pose and, like singing the song. I mean, it was an unbelievable. It stayed in theaters for months longer than any other movie had before. Anyway, and here I am now in 2023 watching
So how did you feel about the actual film?
I was very underwhelmed by the love story. And also, like, I found Kate Winslet's character to be kind of annoying. But the spectacle of the disaster itself, the shipwreck, I mean, everything about the way that was done was just incredible. It's just amazing. I didn't really care about their love story, and I also I just found her kind of annoying, and but it wasn't really about them, right? They were just
that was a time in her career as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I absolutely know what it's meant for Kate Winslet and her whatever. I mean, I don't have any bad feelings about Kate Winslet, but I just found that very underwhelming. But I was thinking about it afterwards, and like me and my sister was like looking up the stats of like how many people died from each class, and it was the men in second class who died in the greatest numbers. And in the first class, the women, I think 97.9% of the women survived. So it was like a good representation of like who died and who lived, right? For her to live and for him to die, even though like I wished he would have lived and she would have died. But anyway, I mean, it makes sense why he chose those two characters to kind of represent the I mean, he wasn't second class; he was third class. But I mean, it still works, right? So anyway,
No, the tragedy, like once the
Like, as a
ship
human
began
story.
sinking, the human choices. Oh my
just-
God.
it's just
And that's
incredible.
still
I did
The
makes
actually
me
imagery
cry.
is just
Yeah.
like
like because they're just side characters. Like if people you had just 5 minutes within that movie, they just had so much. Their stories, those are the stories that still stayed with me because the romance was just too, it was too Hollywood.
I wish that it had been about Kathy Bates' character because she was a lot more interesting than Rose and Jack. Honestly,
I
She
agree.
was-
Completely
She was like, this
agree.
woman has lived a life. She has stories. Like, I want to know about her. But anyway, so that was
Unlike you, I didn't actually like Jack. I liked Rose a lot, and I didn't think she should have gone with Jack. Like I was like, this.
I
guy's
didn't
a
really
waste of
like
your
him
time.
either, but he was at least better than her. Like, I'm so sad and rich, and I have no choices. Oh, it's so poor little rich me. The dialogue was also not that. I mean, the dialogue isn't what you're watching the movie for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not. But which is why I
Also,
never
like, she
understood why
throws
that
the
was-
diamond in the ocean at the end. Like, what the heck? Pass it down to your grandchildren. Wouldn't my sister was like, she was an idiot to the end, clearly. So at least her character was consistent.
Do you know what that always makes me think of? That Britney Spears, was it Oops, I Did It Again? The old lady who threw the diamond into the ocean. That's just me. Okay, never mind.
I was not
No, but-
expecting a Britney Spears reference here.
But the hilarious thing is that I see memes and like reels nowadays, but like I saw one the other day where this group of boys on that you know they have those podcasty clips where they're just discussing, and then one of them is like, "Did you know that Rose and Jack didn't actually exist? That was all made up." And the other two are like, "No, that cannot be." But the old lady on the ship, wasn't that a documentary? I mean, I'm like,
Oh my god!
my goodness.
Oh my
These
god!
kids. Do they not
so-
understand story framing? What have we burnt?
Speaking of memes, though, I was curious to because I did the reason I never watched it because literally we were like, let's watch a movie, and it said leaving Netflix in October. I was like, oh, my sister was like, maybe we should watch Titanic. It's leaving Netflix in October. So good job, Netflix.
Oh, I
you
thought
got
you went
us.
to see it in the theater because it's been showing in cinemas here.
Oh, really? No, we watched it at home.
but like last
I
night or
watched
something.
it. I watched it in theaters. Like I think I was a teenager when they were doing a re-airing, like re-release. I don't know. They were celebrating 10
They've done
years
like
or
a
some
4K
such stuff.
restoration of like all of like
Oh,
Titanic,
wow.
Lord of the
Okay.
Rings, which was
Yeah.
happening every night this weekend,
Oh
and I
my
didn't
gosh!
go to.
Oh, if Lord of the Rings was playing in a theater near me, I would go see it, even if it took 9
Anissa,
hours.
why don't you live here?
I don't know,
I couldn't
I
go
wish-
because it finished too late, and I couldn't come home that late.
There were 2-year-old babies watching that scene with me in the theater.
Oh
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
There
but
was
I
no
just
age bar.
back
were
to my
all
point
there.
for a rated R movie. I guess it's old enough that it's just all ages now.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say was like, no, like given how extremely memed this movie has been throughout my lifetime, I was
Yeah.
wondering like, am I even gonna be able to enjoy this? Like, I know everything that happens. I know about almost every scene in the movie. Like, I've seen clips from this movie. I've seen memes from this movie. I've heard the debates about like should they have taken turns on the door? Would they both have survived? I mean, like all of it, right? Like I've watched the behind the scenes documentary from like when James Cameron came on Oprah and like talked about what they built and what they did. I was like, am I even gonna enjoy this? And I think it's really amazing that like that last hour and a half was like so gripping and I enjoyed it so much. And I was like looking at my sister and I was like, even though we know the boat is gonna sink, you're still hoping that they'll be able to survive, which is
Yeah.
just good filmmaking. I mean,
Yeah.
so anyway, that was my little side tangent. Sorry, y'all.
I wanted to know. I'm pretty sure everyone listening wanted to know too.
So we
Like
can get back
Titanic is
to,
so universal; everyone has an opinion about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
But how did we get to Titanic? What
don't
were we
know.
talking about? I left to
Because we were talking about things that are so well known that we feel pressure that like we don't want to watch them.
oh
That-
right,
Yeah, that's what Saya mentioned
Ooh.
it, so it made me go
Okay,
on that
so-
tangent.
that was yesterday, not last Saturday. Yesterday Saturday. So there is a Dev Anand is like a very he's a old golden era actor here. So it's his birth centenary this weekend.
What's
so
his
they are
name?
Dev Anand.
Okay.
It's a Hindi cinema old timey actor, and the thing is, he did like these very famous sort of like Bombay noir movies back in the 50s and 60s with like this director called Guru Dutt who did a lot of his movies. Anyway, point is that so there is this one called C.I.D, which is like it's like criminal investigative. I forget what it's called, division. It's basically like FBI, but like think more like just
police,
detectives.
isn't it?
I don't know how to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, we have
NCIS or like
CID
Criminal
here.
Minds or something like that.
kind of criminal minds. Yeah, more like
Yeah.
that. Not FBI. Forget that.
Yeah, this
so-
country still calls them CID.
Oh, excellent.
Scotland Yard, basically.
Basically Scotland Yard. Yeah. So we used to have CID back then. Now we have CBI. Anyway, so the thing is, so there was this movie called CID. It's trash. It's completely campy trash. But the point is, it was like the directorial flair was there of what made this director be really great later on, and the actor was amazing. He just did so many movies back at that time. So this is celebratory, right? So they are doing a rerun in theaters. So I could only go for a late night show last night. So I caught CID. There were like a lot of other ones playing. And so CID is honestly the worst of the other movies of his that was playing there. So this hall was packed. It was just this one place and it was like a 3.5 hour long movie and the hall was packed. But the guy behind me, oh my God. So, you know what, like, because Anisa, you were talking about like how you didn't like Kate Winslet. So I was thinking of how hard it is for me to watch a lot of older movies. Doesn't matter which era, but especially movies where women are very clearly written from men's perspective. So they are silly at a time when you want them to be sensible. They are acting angry and snootish for no reason, being rude for no reason, being impolite for no because a pure woman is always like rude to a man unless he's proven himself to her. That kind of weird psyche, like old timey movies used to have. So you had a heroine like that here, where she's just like, basically what happens is he's chasing this murderer. So her car, she was getting into her car, so he kind of hijacks her car and is like, CID, let me take your car and chase this murderer. So she basically keeps being like, I think you're the murderer. Why are you kidnapping me? She's saying very sensible things, but the way the movie shows it is like this woman is being silly and intervening, and she's making it harder for him to do his job. And I'm like, no, she's being very sensible. This guy hasn't shown her an ID. He's just stealing her car with her in it. And so at one point, she basically takes the key out of the ignition and throws it out of the window. She's like, I'm not playing along with this anymore. And then the movie takes us. Anyway, the point is eventually they become romantically involved. And how do they become romantically involved? He follows her at one point, and then she reaches home. And she's like, I'm going to tell my dad, who's the superintendent of police. And he's like, go ahead and tell him. And then it turns out that the dad knows this guy. So then she turns around and apologizes for having misunderstood him. But he was definitely following her. So I'm watching all of this stuff and I'm thinking, at some point as a child, I have watched this entire movie and obviously never had any of these objections that I have now. However, it was like watching it now, it's really hard for me to watch it because this woman is not a real woman. This woman is very much a woman written by a man.
Yeah.
And so I had to keep reminding myself that, why am I so angry? Why am I so angry? I'm angry because this is a woman who's been written by a man. And I was trying to focus on all of the positive things in the movie because there are quite a few. Like just all of the picturization of every music, and CID is one of those movies which has some of the best known old-time Bollywood songs that people still sing to this day. It's just, they're classics and bangers after bangers. They have remixes of those songs. They're just amazing. Honestly, back at that time, they would come up with a song list. They would each be just insanely amazing, and then they would come up with like a movie to put the songs into. So often the songs were completely out of context in the movie, and people would go to watch the movie just to listen to the songs again and again. It was So this felt like that. So 3.5 hours totally made it worth it because of the music, and also because this one actress Wahida Rahman was introduced in it. She was brilliant. Anyway, my point is, woman written by man, woman written by man, right?
Yeah,
okay, come back
yeah.
to K-drama land now. I found in 2023 that I needed to constantly remind myself that certain characters that I am watching are women written by men. They're women written by men. They're not always, though. Like, some of these characters are actually written by women, but they feel like women written by men. And it's just, I didn't think that in 2023, this is the crutch that I would have to hold on to while watching.
That's unfortunate. No, for sure. I mean, I didn't want to spend too long on Titanic, but that's very much the thought I had. It was like, this woman, like Rose, didn't feel like a real person because she was a woman written by a man. And I know James Cameron likes to put, he's known for having, like, quote unquote amazing female characters at the center of his movies. We can debate about
He
that.
does.
But, like,
He does. But they are still
they're
amazing
still
women written by men.
Exactly.
So they are limited in
Right.
that his imagination can only go so far as when writing a woman. She doesn't feel like a real woman because she doesn't react the way a real woman would to situations that women would.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because we also, like, on the converse side, we take comfort in K-dramas in the men that are written by women. We're like, this man could only be written by a woman. That's why.
That's
Because
true. But
we have gone through like so many years of women written by men and men written by men. So this is the only sucker we have. The little bit of
exactly.
the few scenes where the men are written by women.
Yeah. But
Sorry, Anissa,
the
go
way
on.
that has that feels really healing, right? That's why we watch a lot of what goes into why we prefer K-dramas.
I mean, I think that's true, but I also think that men are a lot worse at writing women than women are at writing men, because women have to know how men think, because men run the world. And so we are socialized to think about how men think. We are socialized to always know how a man sees the world, and men don't ever have to do that, and they don't do that, and they're not socialized to do that with
but
women.
also
So we
purpose of-
understand how men tick because we have to in order to navigate
Also, we
the
make
world.
them look great. We always
We
make
do.
them look
We do.
so sensitive
No,
and so
but
lovely.
this is but like the point of a K-drama is to provide that sucker for a woman, right? Like,
but it does so and while also making the man seem like a real human being
this is
that could
that's-
exist, right?
yeah.
Like, so it's like the idealized perfect version of a man, but it usually also feels like a man who could exist. He just usually doesn't, right? Where it's not like this fantasy creature who is whimsical and mercurial and gorgeous, and she has flaws, but like they're
Manic
not flaws
pixie
that
dream boy.
don't make her look still hot to you. And I mean, it's not that kind of character,
No,
exactly.
you're
Manic
right.
pixie dream girl, or any of the other, sort of, Madonna whore, whatever. All these like archetypes that we have.
Should we talk about dramas now then?
Yes, let's talk about dramas, finally.
손가락 좀 안 섞인 집 없습니다.
이젠 내 앞에서 얼굴 안 가려도 괜찮나 봐요?
난 그냥
Let's start with
잘
My
보이고
Lovely
싶어서.
Liar, which recently finished airing, and I just finished watching it like a few minutes
While
ago.
we were talking.
Yeah, while we were sort of warming up, I had it kind of playing in the background because I just wanted to know how it ended. I have a lot of thoughts about this one, but I feel like once I start, I'm going to be talking for a while, so I want y'all to go first.
Okay, so last time when we did our first impressions, there was something that, so this is spoilery, guys. The most of this episode is going to actually be really spoilery. So just check the timestamp to see which dramas we're talking about. And if there is a non-spoiler portion, we will mark it in the timestamps. Okay, so warning given. In the last episode that we spoke about My Lovely Liar on, we didn't talk about certain scenes that had happened because we didn't want it to be too spoilery. So there was one that happened really early on, I think end of episode 2, 3 maybe, where basically you had Kim So-hyun's character doing this thing,
Sorry.
like this, Moksuri. Moksuri doing
Can we just
this,
take 1 second and appreciate that she's called Moksuri?
I love her name so that this is just under On Mom as one of my favorite character names. So On Mom is on top, Moksuri right next.
Yeah, if you don't speak Korean, Moksori means voice.
Yeah.
Not spelled exactly the same way in her name, but like that's kind of
pronounced,
the
yeah.
that's kind of the where what the vibes the meaning that it's giving. Yeah.
And also because I referenced it, On Mom is from Tuesday's
Webtoon.
webtoon.
Today's webtoon.
Today's
webtoon.
Sorry,
the
not
same thing.
Tuesday. Why Tuesday? And On Mom
Close
means
Whole heart.
Entire heart.
wholehearted. Yeah, entire heart.
Whole
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
Which just totally describes Kim So Jung's character in that. It's just such a sweet drama. Flaws, but so sweet. Anyway, so back to this one. So there is this scene where in the initial period where what's his name? Kim Doha and Muksuri are meeting each other. Kim Doha constantly has his face in a mask. At one point, he's inebriated. He's lying sort of on the ground, I think in the garage space on the walk up to their apartments. And Muksuri comes home, finds him there. And she's like, she kind of
She unmasks him.
initially, yeah, okay, yeah. Like she has a moment of hesitation where she's like, don't be such a loser. And then she does it anyway. So she does it knowing that what she's doing is bad. So she does it and then she gets caught. And then it's like, it's a freeze frame moment of like, ooh, romantic music, eyes meeting, both of them looking at each other thing. But it's a bad thing that she did, guys. There is
very
just no
bad.
excuse for what she did. She knows he's sensitive about keeping his face hidden. She did not have his, like, I don't know how many of you have watched Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, but I think it was the second Spider-Man, right, Anissa, where you had Tobey Maguire's character basically being in a really bad fight, and then he's, I think, in a train or something, and his mask completely comes off, and the entire crowd, the people he saved, they preserve his identity because they know that that's what he
That's
wanted.
Spider-Man 2. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Such a
my
great-
God.
So
just
beautiful. So beautiful.
So amazing.
That's such a good
And-
movie.
Right? And I'm sorry, but the Andrew Garfield one does not match up.
I don't acknowledge
Sorry.
those. Anyway,
Okay.
before we go on another tangent.
Yeah.
That was such a bad. Did you have a point that you wanted to make about
my
that
only
scene?
point being like they don't actually address what happened, like in a later scene, because he immediately the next day, because he realizes what happens, he leaves, he goes away, and her reaction to realizing that he's left the apartment after that incident is like, oh, did he really have to go away? But she acted like he was overreacting, and later on when she does apologize, it's brushed off too easily because it's not given the weight that it should have been given. What she did was a violation of trust. But instead, her finding out what he looks like becomes the foundation for her interceding in his life more and more. And that, of course, in K-dramas, as in all Asian media, people really interfering in your business is said to be a good thing. And again, it's like, I'm not completely denying that sometimes when you've really isolated yourself, somebody pushing their way into your life is a good thing. But in this particular way, the foundation was just made so... I'm so deeply uncomfortable with how it started.
This goes to the core of my sort of the major theme of all of my problems with this drama.
However, before we deep dive into that, because I don't want our listeners to think that I completely hated this drama or whatever, I've actually mostly enjoyed this drama. But I think it's important for us to talk about this aspect of it before I talk about the good aspects of it. So
I have a lot of complaints about it, but many of them center around this issue of like the complete disregard for boundaries and the idea of like how large a violation is when you betray someone's trust.
Yeah.
This drama seems to have no understanding of that. Like, and it's not just between in this scene, it's like there's the relationships between almost like all of the characters that matter in this show.
Yeah.
There's this completely off sense of like what the weight of these sort of
Like it trivializes these huge violations.
yeah,
And
like
it makes
it's no
them
big deal.
normal. Like this is this is what you should expect in a relationship. They do that a lot.
Yeah, by the end of the drama, I was like, this drama, I feel so like I feel gaslit, and I don't use that like term lightly because I think it's like very serious term that people just throw around casually nowadays. But like I felt like the drama was gaslighting the viewer into thinking that like a lot of these and I remember we had this conversation in our group chat early on, right? And I was just saying that like seeing her in those early episodes and how she makes her living from, kind of eavesdropping on people's private conversations and telling people that, this person's lying, that person's lying, and how she casually just like disregards his boundaries and like removes his mask. And I was like, oh, maybe this show is going in the direction of character development for her, showing her that like because she grew up with this kind of gift, and because of the kind of like parents she has, she doesn't, because her mom like basically is just like a con artist. That's what she does. That's her identity. So like she doesn't understand that she needs to respect those boundaries, and it's going to be a journey about her learning that she needs to have those boundaries. And then Paroma, you were like, I don't really know if that's going to happen. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I mean, I still have hope it might go that way. But obviously, like, it didn't go that way. Instead, it just, in almost every relationship, you have the relationship between both of them and their extremely problematic mothers who have done these like horrific things to them, and somehow like it's all okay. There's the reconciliation. Well, sorry, I'm trying not to spoil the ending, but are we okay with ending spoilers?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I already know what happens with the parents. So.
Okay, yeah, the reconciliation between the parents, which is like so ridiculous. I don't even have words to approach how ridiculous that reconciliation
I
is.
expected that.
I kind of did expect it, but I still hated it so much. Just like so this woman has spent her whole life committing fraud. But it was just a matter of like sort of clearing up this misunderstanding that she cheated on him, and now he's suddenly like, oh well, let's get married again, because obviously like the fact that you've spent your whole life defrauding people and extorting money from our daughter, that's okay. That was just a even like the way she comes back and is like, oh, I was so upset that you like sent me to jail, and no, I was so upset that my husband divorced me for committing fraud that I spent my whole life extorting money from you, my daughter, because that made me feel better. And now that I know that that's not why he divorced me, I don't need that money anymore. And that's supposed to be like an apology? Like, what the actual F? Like, never in this whole show does she ever say to her mom, I was a little kid. It wasn't my fault. Why have you been blaming me for this my whole life? Never. The show never even like approaches that conversation. It's like seen as, oh, like obviously she should be sorry that her mom went to jail because of her. Like this seems to be the dramas.
Also, it wasn't because of her, it's because her mom committed fraud.
Exactly.
Even if she couldn't even if she couldn't tell lies from truth, a child could have easily tripped up and let on what this woman wanted to know. The thing is, her gift does not figure into it. Her mom's criminal activity does. Why would you put your child in that situation?
But it's such a twisted, like, okay, maybe in the early on, I was like, okay, this is the mom's way of looking at the world. But the drama is going to correct this. But no, the drama never corrects it. It never points out the fact that, like, you're a disgusting trash of a human being who put your daughter in this kind of position and then blamed her for it.
Yeah.
And you failed as a mother and as a human being. Not like, oh, she needs to keep apologizing to you for 25 years. And even at the end, she's still going to, and then what did she say in response to her mom? She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for you to go to jail. I was always waiting for you to come home.
And if you went to jail, I'd have no one to play with.
Yeah, I wouldn't have anyone to play with.
Want you to
That's
go.
it. Then they don't address it after. Like, it's, oh my God. And then, okay, I have so many rants saved up. Are you guys okay with me just continuing
I can insert
rant?
one here to...
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Saya gets one rant, then I get one rant, then we're back to Nisa.
All right.
So, I mean, my one is pretty connected to this because I feel like, all of these characters and relationships come from the same writer's room, right? So you have the one that just drove me absolutely bats, the worst. in this show was the ex-girlfriends, the Sharon, and like
Oh yeah. I'm getting
the-
through.
just
I
like-
want to hear your thoughts. 'Cause
the
I
way that they use suicide as a threat the entire time, and the
God.
way that that's meant to be, like, Doha is meant to feel bad and sorry, and he does feel bad and sorry, and like the whole drama is about him feeling bad and sorry because he had an insane ex-girlfriend, and then you have like the other girl who likes him, who is like emotionally blackmailing him, and it's just like at no point does the drama point out.
Emotionally blackmailing him,
I'm putting it
knowing
really mildly.
that he has this wound from his
Right,
ex-girlfriend who died.
It's
who
actually
he
really
feels-
disgusting.
The fact that she recreates that whole scene by calling him to the beach and threatening to kill himself, knowing that the same thing happened to him with his girlfriend who
Right.
died and whose death he's been like chased for the last 50. Like, I cannot. And the way that they brush it off like it's no big
Yeah.
deal, I'm like, no, that's like I'm cutting you off for life kind of offense.
But she's sorry, guys. If she's
No, man.
sorry.
God,
You
oh my
just-
God. The way
the
that this drama
way.
deals with forgiveness and apologies.
But also the
Yeah.
way that they treat all of this stuff as like normal girlfriend human behavior, or like this is okay, it's okay for you to treat people this way, and of course he should respond in that way. Like he has to take responsibility for their insanity, right? And it's like, stop it. Like I was just being so triggered by it all. Ah!
I actually loved initially when they introduced this ex-girlfriend who slowly turns into somebody whose entire existence depends on him and how he was suffocating and decided to end the like these stories don't get told, especially from the male perspective. Usually you have the female lead with like a crazy ex situation, but you rarely have that male lead with a crazy ex story where he's shown to genuinely love the girl. So I like that. I like that they introduced the story. But then it slowly turned into something where Doha is made to feel extra guilty because her life was so shitty and he didn't know about it.
He's the villain. He's the villain for not staying with her. And it's
My
like, and then you
God.
have her brother. Oh my God, her brother character.
Oh my
I hate
God.
him
Brother
so
is just
brother-
the worst. He's the worst. He put it in her head to cling to this guy to
Isn't
get
it?
out of
And
that.
it's like, you're her brother. You are right there. Why are you putting, like, looking after your sister on some other man when, like, you're there?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, not just like a little brother type brother. Like, you're a proper full grown man. And, like, I understand dysfunctional families. I understand, like, there was, like, the abuse and all of that. But, like, you can't use other people as solutions to your problems and then blame them when it doesn't work out how you planned someone else's
Yeah.
life to go according to what you wanted them to do. And then, like, just like, there's no point even, it doesn't deserve the level of critique that we're giving it right now, to be
No,
honest.
because
But
it
also
never
before-
explores any of this in any depth.
Right.
It's just like extremely lazy writing, and they put all of these like old school problematic tropes into like a giant big and just like boiled them for 12 hours.
But like also like before we tear the whole drama to pieces, I did want to say that initially, like I thought it was a really sweet drama. The romance was really sweet, and I felt about it apart from that problematic, like those bits, I felt the way I did about Shooting Stars. Like
Yeah.
it had in all respects, like it had those really like the parts that you just had to pretend didn't exist so that you
Yeah.
could enjoy the nice parts that did exist. Like,
Yeah.
you know, their relationship was very mellow. It was very sweet. It was like, if it was just about their romance, it could have been a really nice drama with issues.
But once they got together, it was so boring. Saya. Just like didn't care.
But this is why you needed murder.
Oh, but
right?
I actually liked it
Yeah.
once they got together.
I
liked it.
did. I found
Okay,
their
okay.
relationship really calming
it's
and
just a
very
me
sweet.
problem then.
I probably wouldn't have picked it up for that.
Yeah.
I can't
Same.
remember why I picked it up, but I picked it up because of that interesting premise of her being a human lie detector.
Yeah. Imagine
but-
if they'd actually used that premise in
I
any
know.
interesting way.
Oh God, the murder. Like, you're a human lie detector. And you're like, yes, okay, I'll stay at home while your boyfriend is going out trying to find evidence.
I know. I have a lot to say about that, but Paroma, you had something that you wanted to say.
Sorry.
Please say that first.
Yeah. So one point on what I was talking about, like you guys remember that instance where the ex-girlfriend is talking to her older brother and it's like, I'm going to go and take do a college course because I feel my self-confidence taking a hit, especially next to, what was his name? Songju at that point.
Sungju.
I don't want to be that clingy girlfriend. And the brother is immediately like, no, but why do you need to pursue a career? You don't. He is your ticket out of here. Like that entire mindset. So the reason I didn't think it was lazy writing was because they were depicting these aspects of the story very realistically in a way that I haven't seen a lot of shows do. The problem is in the solutions. The problem is in the conclusions they were taking these situations to. It's like they know of stories like this. The writers have taken the grains of it and shown us how it actually becomes this situation. But then their eventual conclusion was the problem. It's like they were pushed to find solutions where solutions don't exist. The other rant that I had is more tied to what Anisa was talking about, the parent side of things. So leaving aside Moksuri's parents, who are interesting people, Doha's mom. So Doha eventually, when it comes out that Doha is not, when publicly people find out that he's not the killer, somebody else comes, and this is one aspect of the story where there is a red herring. Somebody else comes and says, hey, I did the killing. So he gets publicly acquitted. But the mom is caught, there is a tape leaked by the police whom she had bribed. And so everybody finds out, it goes out, it leaks into the news, everybody finds out that she had bribed the police to sort of change the investigation so that, and make up alibis and stuff. And so she's being kicked out of the office, and then she's telling her colleague, well, everybody knows my son didn't do it. I don't see why I have to be punished. And the colleague is like, but you bribed the police. That is the problem. And so at this point, I'm all with the story. I'm like, wow, delusional mom. Okay, this is the right perspective for the story to have. And then Doha comes in, and he's having this conversation with his mom. And she's like, why did you misguide me? Why did you tell me that you were responsible? And he's like, but I told you the details. I told you why I felt responsible. You were not listening. And she's like, no, you should have been clearer. This conversation just evolves into such. And then he's like, you should have trusted me. And she's like, I never wanted to be one of those moms who blindly trust their children. And then the story leaves it at that because the boy is like, no, I needed a mother who trusted me. I needed that once in my life. But, oh my God, what are you? It doesn't, listen, okay, sorry, backtracking. When she says, I don't want to be one of those mothers who blindly trust
one of those pathetic mothers.
One of those pathetic mothers. What do you think one of those pathetic mothers would do? The ones who trusted their child blindly, they would bribe the police to change the investment. You did exactly that. What are you talking about? I just do not understand what you're talking about.
She did that for herself, though, not for him.
Yeah, she didn't do it because she believed it. She did it because she thought he was guilty, and she didn't want it to ruin her career.
But my point is, what makes that woman pathetic and not you? In your head, in this governor with whatever candidates, this politician's head, what makes that mother, the one blindly believing her child, pathetic versus her who disbelieves her child and still did a criminal
because
thing?
Love makes you weak. That's
but as Saya said,
apparently political ambition also makes you weak.
Yeah, this drama doesn't even deserve such a granular analysis because
it really doesn't.
I think its main problems are, this is the same thing with, the way that they use the suicide as a threat and the way that the ex-girlfriend's death is put on him for years and the drama is like, yeah,
way
it's totally
that the murderer,
such an interesting premise though. Imagine if this show was finally bringing us to a point where what they actually wanted to say was that the investigation should have been done properly to begin with. If it had been, then the real criminal would have been caught. The brother wouldn't have gone crazy for years. Doha wouldn't have blamed himself for the last, 5-7 years for the death of his girlfriend. He wouldn't have lived that, frustrating life. It just, none of those things would have happened if the investigation initially had been, left untouched, if it had been done ethically, and if the police had been, if they had done their job. if that was what they were taking the whole story to, this would have meant something. You took away the meaning. Does
Okay, but
nobody
listen.
read their own scripts?
Because
Sorry.
because they did exactly what they wanted to do. Because this drama was not about justice. It wasn't about truth versus lies. It was about this fetishization of like extreme martyrdom and forgiveness. And like the reason that I say that, and I mean it explicitly says that in the last two lines. So I'm gonna like totally spoil the ending. So Saya, if you don't want to like hear.
It's okay, I'm here.
Okay. So basically what happens in the end, if you haven't, if you decide not to finish it. So we spend like a long time on this whole murder mystery. You end up finding out that like the CEO of the company was the murderer, who, the one that Doha like loved and trusted and thought was on his side this whole time. And then in the process of that CEO saying, I'm going to turn myself in, but then he runs away. Who knows why? Then he tries to commit suicide because that's going to let him off and he's going to be redeemed. And then, the drama is clearly seeing that as a redemptive act because they treat him so nicely for someone who has done all of the horrible things that he's done. That's a whole other rant. But of course, Doha's like, very, very nice to him considering everything that's happened in the past. And he did that out of love also. Of course, he did that out of love. Because,
the drama thought that it was this great
everything.
twist that because they acted like it would be because of jealousy of because someone was in love with the ex-girlfriend, they would do it. But then they were like, oh no, it's it's
Dukchan, yeah.
Because he was in love with Doha and that's why it happened. And they thought
Such
it was a great twist, but it's like it's a trope, it's a bad trope.
Such a lazy and
Yeah.
bad trope. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway,
That's
during
when
that
I
whole
lost it.
time, when he has his accident, there's a car chase. Everybody else is chasing him and trying to get him. They drag his body out of the car. The car explodes and it damages her eardrums, and she can't hear lies anymore. Okay, so she doesn't know if she's ever gonna get her ability to hear lies back. And he's like, why not just have a normal life? We can find the good parts of you not being able to tell if anybody is lying. So like she spends a few months, she adjusts to the idea that she's not going to have this power anymore. And then when her eardrums heal or whatever, it comes back and she can still detect lies. She's got her ability back. And she's like, you know what? I just want to have a normal cafe. I'm not going to be a liar hunter anymore. And then she writes this letter to her former clients or whatever saying like, I'm giving up this liar hunter thing. And the last two lines she says are, I'm just going to read them to you because they're so, she says, it used to be my job to find the truth for people, but rather than focusing on the truth, I want to focus on the things that I trust and love. There it is. Like, we don't care about the truth. It's just about like radical forgiveness and love, no matter what the other person has done to you, no matter how many boundaries they've crossed. It's okay. They said sorry. All right. Did they commit murder? It's okay. They said sorry. Did they ruin your whole childhood and treat you like a piece of garbage when they were supposed to be the one person who like you could trust and cared for you? It's okay. They said sorry. Or maybe they didn't even say sorry, but you're their kid, so you have to forgive them anyway.
Obligatory forgiveness.
Yeah, did this person take the most deep wound in your psyche and like recreate it and manipulate it in order that you would like feel guilty and date them? It's okay. She said sorry, so it's fine, right?
No,
like,
or it's okay because they loved you.
did this person try to kill you multiple times and hunt you down for years because they blamed you for the death of their sister, even though it was their fault? It's okay. He said sorry, right? So it's fine.
I feel like this is the point where we just need to say, it's okay, it's love. Kanchana Sarangiya.
But it's okay, it's love didn't do that.
I know. That was a good drama. That was an extremely good drama.
No, It's Okay, It's Love had a very healthy outlook on mental health and boundaries and relation. That was a great drama.
That was a brilliant drama.
Yeah. I think once I understood that the show had this viewpoint, and like I started to understand this with just the way that they built Doha's character as being like so unreasonably forgiving and self-sacrificing, and how like this really fascinating premise about her being able to detect lies just became completely subsumed into his narrative. And
As it
yet,
always
like you
does,
said,
though, in
Paroma,
K-drama
it
romances,
always does. but they didn't even use her ability to help him solve. I'm like, you literally have a girlfriend who can detect lies, and her ex-boyfriend is like a decent cop who's
detective.
also
Yeah.
trying to find the murderer. Like, why don't you work together? No, he's like, no, it's too dangerous. You stay here. I'm gonna go and confront
But
the person that I think is the murderer.
that is the formula, right? Like we've talked about this, about how the concept is always the female leads, and then the climax is always the male leads.
Which is why I'm saying it's
we've
like
met
so
the jokes.
lazy. Yeah. And the fact that she ends up giving up her gift so that he can shine in his gift, just
Exactly.
I'm tired.
That he would not have the climax unless he was allowed to go forth and be the hero, which he would not have any chance to do if she was doing her job, like
One
what
other
she's an
thing-
expert at. Sorry, go on.
One other thing that makes me really mad is that, you know, the whole thing about when the ex-girlfriend's body was found, and Sori knew about that ages ago, and she didn't tell him. And she left him to, like, find out in the worst possible way. And then, like, she faces him with this, like, 표정 of complete, like, this face of complete understanding and sympathy, and never comes clean. You know, for someone who detects lies, she really does lie a lot.
oh, she lies
And-
so much.
Yeah.
They never address that.
And, like...
I mean, you see that throughout the drama, and a lot of people talk about it, though. Like the fact
No,
that
that's
she
right.
lies.
But my
amazing.
point is, like, in this case, this is a thing I never understand. And, like, it's also, like, her, like, with Kangmin Oppa. And, like, why do people who are in a relationship, like, a close, intimate relationship, hide something like that from each other? Wouldn't they be the first person you go and tell? Like, in real life, the first person you go and tell about something like that, whether it's you have cancer or whether it, because at the end of the day, they're
this has
going to
always
find
been my
out,
issue.
and they're going
with
to
noble
be the
idiocy.
people who are going to be taking care of you when you need the care. And, like, how do you think you can hide that from them? And also, how do you think your relationship will survive a deception like that? And in their case, it didn't. But, like, also, like, her not telling Doha that the body had been found, when she could have, if she had told him, he could have been prepared for that. He wouldn't have been caught out. That whole everything that happened after that wouldn't have happened that way.
She does it again, though. She does it again
does.
at the end of the drama, where she goes to the to where his brother, Dukchan's brother, is locked up.
Right.
Or no, she finds out. No, Kangmin comes to her the night before. Like, Doha has said he's gonna go to this, like, press conference presentation or whatever to support Dukchan and the company, because he thinks that the younger brother is the one, because the younger brother, Dukchan's younger brother, has turned himself in, right? He convinced his younger brother to turn himself in his place to take responsibility for the murder. So he's locked up, but Kangmin comes and tells Soli, so this is the ex-boyfriend detective, he comes and tells her, you know, his story isn't matching up. I don't think it's really him, and I suspect that he's done it, you know, in order to save his older brother, or his older brother has, like, coerced him into doing it. And he's like, can you come tomorrow and come and, like, get him to say something that and see if he's lying, right? Basically, like, come and do your job and check him out. Who knows? Maybe you should have asked her to help you in your investigation earlier. Just a thought. But anyway, here we are, episode 16, 15, whatever. I don't know.
14.
Too late. And she comes back from that conversation, and Doha's like, oh, I'm going to go tomorrow. I've decided I'm going to, like, be there and support him. And, you know, and she doesn't occur to her to say, like, oh, I actually think that this guy is the murderer, so maybe you shouldn't, like, be in close proximity to him and support him publicly while I'm going to interrogate his younger brother about she's like, thinks about it, and she's like, okay, have a good
The
time.
irony is, this is the show attempting to show that it understands boundaries. She's not interfering in his business. She's just letting him do what he needs to do. And it's like, I think, like, show you have not understood it. Like, you did not understand, like, you just didn't understand what was meant to happen here. Like, you had I don't know, like, maybe a board of words, like, boundaries is one of them. And you were like, oh, where should we put that? Oh, let's put that here. But it was the wrong place. Like, it had no sense of, like, appropriate place and time for when these things should happen. And it just, like, it put all of those words into a blender and it just landed, like, it threw darts.
This drama made me feel insane while I was watching it.
I felt like I was hate watching it by episode 14.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I
But
wanted to
also-
finish it so we could talk about it.
But also when I did, like, we all decided to finish watching it so that we could record this episode. So I was speed watching it, like, this morning. And when episode 15 finished, like, it wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't the worst. And I watched it at 1.5 speed. But, like, episode 15 ended, that, like, the show ended. It was done. There's nothing more to say. What are you going to fill another 70 minutes with?
Yeah.
And it could have just finished.
It was the end. It was the end.
Yeah.
There didn't need to be a 16th episode.
Like, even,
Complete
like,
fluff.
the closing lines, everything, it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing that I wanted to mention that is also in keeping with this, like, people transgress your boundaries and it's good for you theme, which seems to be like the main idea of
yeah.
this drama, is like their dynamic with the people in the neighborhood made me so angry. Like, you have these three, okay, the baker wasn't as bad, but you have the bar owner and the girl who sells salads, whose name literally means green. Very, very creative. Very
What?
thoughtful drama. Yeah, her name is Torok. This means green. Very smart. Very whatever. Anyway. So those people are so pushy. They're so rude. They're so awful. And yet the whole arc is like, oh, you can tell from the beginning that no matter how horrible these are eventually going to become their friends. And they do. Why? Because they needed to have a group of friends. But, like, I hate all of those people. I don't want them to be their friends. And it's all about, like, how she eventually just lets them in no matter how horrible they are. And we're supposed to see that as, like, nice progress because she never had friends. So, well, who cares if her new friends are garbage? Now she has friends,
Can I just also say that the baker was called Soboro, which is like a type of bread, Soboro pan.
I didn't know that. Wow. That's just, wow. I mean, I also, like, I don't know why I got offended every time she said she didn't have friends, yet her employees were clearly, like, pretty much her family. Like, they had her back, man.
Yeah.
Solidly had her back. And they don't count as your friends? What the heck? Especially the girl, like, at least with, like, the bodyguard / driver assistant dude, I get it. Which, by the way, his obsession with Shia,
I also hated that whole story.
Why was this, like, this is another thing, again, like, with boundaries, like, the way he obsessed over her and
was rewarded by becoming her bodyguard.
Exactly.
Yeah. A fan becoming both a bodyguard and a romantic interest is like a double whammy.
Oh, does
of,
that
like,
happen?
Disgusting.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But exactly like you said, Saya, like that they definitely had boundaries somewhere in the checklist.
In the spec.
Because when he accidentally comes upon her in the cinema theater, he's like, I'm so sorry for recognizing you, and, like, quietly walks away, and she's so touched by that. And I'm like, dude, EJ
Wassel? EJ Wassel? Now, after all this time. That's all I can say. Oh my god. They just were like, well, we had that one scene where we acknowledged that it's kind of problematic, so we're good. We don't have to come back
And
to
then,
it. That's fine.
and also I just remembered, like, the reporters, of course, like, tabloid reporters are trash, but, like, do you remember right in the beginning where they had that drone, like, come up to his apartment? And I was just losing my mind watching that. And you're like,
yeah, it's just like all these unbelievably horrifying violations of privacy, and the drama's just like extremely blasé about it.
Yeah,
Like, no,
it just doesn't recognize them as violations.
No,
like, I mean, I was saying earlier that they were trivializing it, but it was not. It simply doesn't recognize the problem in any of these behaviors, or in any of these attitudes. I think the reason that I've stuck to the drama is because I like Hwang Min-yeon after seeing him in the Hybe Game Caterers episodes. He's just really adorable. Very sweet guy. And his character's sweet.
I know you guys tried to convince me that he was a good actor. But, sorry.
The way she phrased it.
I don't dislike him as much as I did when
He's
I
a
started.
nice guy.
I'm sure he's a very nice man.
That's
He
all
seems
I've
like a
got.
lovely person. I watched his interview with Suga. It was very, very nice, very sweet. He seems like a good musician, but I don't think that he needs to be given a male lead role again anytime soon.
I thought he
I
did
liked
his
him.
character. I think
Yeah.
this is a very low effort character that he
It is a
played.
low
It's
effort
not-
character, but like she
It
had
didn't
so
need
much
a lot
more
of
chemistry with her
intensity.
ex-boyfriend. He was a better
She
actor.
That's
He's a more experienced actor.
I was shipping them.
I was too. I was too. Like, dude made a very bad decision when he decided to like not tell her about his diagnosis and
Yeah.
just decide to break up instead, which is just such a K-drama thing to do. But also, I was thinking,
But he
listen,
didn't break up with her.
She
broke
broke
up with
with
him
him.
because she knew he was lying about
Correct.
his illness.
But here's the
I
thing.
mean, not that it really matters, but I'm just
no,
saying,
I
like-
agree. But the not telling your romantic partner about something like this very much aligns with what we know about certain cultural aspects. Again, I don't really tend to dip into cultural commentary much, but in this particular thing, we have seen in not just in different K-dramas, but in social conversations around social mores that you have these hesitations that your romantic partner won't stay with you if you have certain kind of diseases, if you can become I don't know.
What if you let them make the choice?
That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
If you give
And I
them
will-
a chance, you'll find out whether they'll stay with
Yeah,
you or not.
Yeah.
but it's them staying with you in like a patriarchal society where the man is the one who's falling sick also means that the man has to deal with the idea that, hey, maybe the woman will be taking care of me and I will not be able to be the strong man protecting her in that period of time where I'm sick. And that is hard for them, clearly. Again, it's a situation I've seen in my country where you have romantic partners breaking up, basically not so much because the woman couldn't handle the man's sickness, but because the man's pride can't handle being the one who's quote unquote weak in the relationship. So that
Yeah.
I
To get
think is
over
a
themselves.
social thing that people
Yeah, and it,
that's
I mean, obviously, it's coming from somewhere, right? And it's definitely not like completely made up. I think just the way it's used in dramas a lot of times is kind of lazy, and also most of the time when this is an issue in real life, it's not. You can't keep things like this a secret. Like,
Exactly.
you really
people
can't. His
talk.
mom would have called and told her.
We're
Would have called and
Asians.
cried.
People talk about each other's business all the time. The aunties know with everything that's happening. There's no way you can keep this secret. Like, come on. Yeah, it's just used in a really lazy way, in a way that like is designed for the
Like
re-entry
the
of the
worst way. Do you guys remember? My name is Kim Samsun, the ex-girlfriend, suddenly coming
Yeah.
back. And
Yeah,
being like,
because
oh, it's because
to
I
to
had
my point,
cancer."
yeah, and I've seen it in multiple dramas. It's always the second lead, and the way it's written is designed for them to re-enter the lead's life at the perfect moment when they're about to say yes to their destined, romantic partner, and suddenly this person from their past comes back with a sudden reveal of, oh, but I didn't cheat on you / hate you / reject you. I've loved you this whole time, but I was sick, so you have to feel sorry for me.
I did like that Moksuri didn't give a damn though. Like she's like, he's confessing his feelings and all of that. And she's like, is it bad that I'm thinking of another man right now? And I'm like,
Yeah,
yes.
that was pretty great.
That was great. So I'm so sorry.
And
Not-
I also
not
like
my-
that he was like, yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. And he was like, okay, that's fair. I'll leave you alone.
See, it's moments like those that kept us watching this drama. Like it had potential. Certain
Yeah.
scene setups
Yeah.
was so good.
She had
But the
this like
payoff.
pleasantly unflappable character. Which
I love-
enjoyed.
can I just
loved her.
reiterate-
I loved her so much. Huh,
Can I
go
just
on.
reiterate, like, the scenes where she was doing her liar hunter thing and she was, like, dressed in these fabulous clothes and she would show up in these,
So
like,
good.
interesting, and it wasn't even just about the fact that most of her clients were rich. It was like she's entering into these, like, very interesting, weird
Setups.
relationship dynamics and she's kind of, like, decoding it for them, but she's also decoding it as an outsider for herself, and it was just like really fun to watch, even if you're like, is this ethical? I don't know. Probably not. That was the best part of the show. And we saw it for maybe like 2 or 3 episodes, and then it just like disappeared, and it all became about this like boring and tropey and weird like murder mystery / suicide plot, and the guilt and the sacrifice and the martyrdom and the so
I like the murder mystery aspect of it. Well, that was what it was, because I could see the real criminal like a mile off. I think everybody could at that point. We just weren't sure how they were going to do like the reveal, like when was it going to come out. But honestly, what slowed down the last few episodes for me to the point where I'm like crawling through the minutes. I'm watching 10 minutes and then like noping out and watching something else. Is just there's a pacing issue there. There's like just like a horrible pacing issue. This is one of those dramas that would have benefited from being curtailed to like a 12 episode mark. Like because there isn't enough mystery in the mystery.
Yeah. Like there was one episode that was good for the mystery, and that was like episode 13 was good. And I was like,
I
oh,
agree.
this
I know
mystery
exactly
is
what you're
interesting.
talking about.
Yeah. And then you got to episode 14.
because there was actually some tension and you actually had characters doing a relatively
Reasonable
smart thing.
There were also stakes, because you had everybody thinking Doha was the criminal at that point. It had come back into the news, so there was like tension and urgency in the investigation.
Yeah.
So for a brief period, there was like, oh yeah, this is what we were working toward, and then everything went flat when like the fake dude came and said, "Hey, it's me," and people were immediately convinced. Oh yeah, so Doha's cool now.
Yeah.
Though his
Like you
mom's
shouldn't be able to guess the culprit
Corrupt
for so
person.
long. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like no one had normal human reactions to things.
Yeah.
so strange.
That's true.
So this is why when I finished, I was like, "Who are these people? Am I the strange one? Like, what is going on?"
No, but I am a Sarah's corner, and in the entire drama, the character I hated the most was Cheyenne. That girl is danger to humanity. Everybody around her, she will never see the world in any logical way, and she will always endanger people, and she will be forgiven
She's an
because she's
entitled
pretty and
brat.
she said sorry.
Yeah. And because she's famous and rich.
I
and
hate that kind of
successful.
character so much.
I just looked up the
she's so
screenwriter
sad.
whose only
She's
other
so
project was Let Me Be Your Knight, which cannot be said to have been a good drama.
I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not watching anything from the screenwriter again, and I
No,
don't say this
I will
often.
because I'm hoping for some growth.
Do you know what I would have
potential.
loved?
Come on.
This premise in Park Hae-ryun's hands. That's what I would have loved.
Don't even. My God, that would have been so good.
It's all there. Romance, murder, superpower, supernatural ability.
Yeah, you know, when we were like halfway through and I wasn't quite as mad as at this show, I was saying like everything is kind of just fine. It's very mediocre. Like, and I was telling my sister like I don't see anything that's like really upsetting me. This was only like 7 or 8, so we haven't gone there yet. But like, I was like, I'm just on paper, this should be a much more interesting drama to watch, and I should be enjoying myself more, but I'm just not.
I've now just imagined it being in Song Jae-jung's hands, and then we would have loved it until episode 14. And then the last 2 episodes would have been a
Would have
total
killed
screw
us.
over.
But you know why Paroma, I don't have any hope for growth from this writer, because I don't think that this was badly written. I actually agree with you. You're right that it wasn't badly written. It's just that like the worldview that this writer has, and potentially like the other writers on the team, is so fundamentally off in a way that I don't think is gonna change as they get more experience. It's just that's just how they see the world. And so it's not like they need to work on their craft and become a better writer. They're just like wrong about how human beings should behave in the world. I can't do anything with someone like that.
I agree with you, except here is my thesis. I don't think it was the writer who was bringing us to the ultimate thematic conclusions, because the director is Nam Sung-woo, somebody I have a love-hate relationship with. Dude did Because This Is My First Life, but he also did My Roommate, is a Kumiho, Love in Contract, and now he... So this gentleman, he also did Weightlifting Fairy, but I think he was an assistant director in that one. I don't think he was the first. But the thing is, this guy also has a very odd outlook. So you think he's going in the right direction. You think things are coming together because the themes and the concepts and the setup's so good. And then just goes in a really weird direction with the story. And I think in a situation where he's paired with a relatively inexperienced screenwriter, his worldview would have had more influence on the final script than just the writers, which is why I'm waiting for this writer to be unpaired from this director and see what she does. I'm assuming her gender. I'm so sorry. I don't actually know if she's a woman. Song Jung-yeon is a woman, right? So Jung-yeon?
Yeah, most likely. Sounds
Jongin
more like
sounds like
name.
a woman's name.
Yeah, it does. It does sound like a woman's name. Can never be 100% sure, but yeah. I guess we'll see. We'll see. I admire your optimism, but you're right. You make a good point.
I was right.
Yeah.
He was not the first director in weightlifting Fairy Kim Bokju. That was Oh Hyun Jong. He couldn't have been, because then weightlifting Fairy would have ended
Would
in
have
a
been a
horrible
different
way. I would have
drama.
hated it.
Yeah, that was such a good drama. Yeah. It did not have these tendencies.
Nam Sung Woo is the director to not watch, if listeners are. Yes, I'm being a hater. I'm sorry.
Well,
All right.
is it time to move on to the next subject of your hate?
Yes.
Yes, let's do it.
나는 알 수 있지. 내가 할 거니까.
앞날을 보았습니다.
Destined With You is a drama that was created to personally torture me with everything I hate. It's like screenwriter Nojisol found out everything that I hold dear in the world and decided to pervert it and create Destined With You. All right, editor's note here. Dear listeners, in this segment, I am really in my feelings about this drama. I know a lot of you are watching Destined With You. It has not wrapped up as yet. You might actually be enjoying it. Even if you have mixed feelings, you might still be enjoying a lot of it. And fair warning, this segment is not... this segment is for people who are just angry with the drama, okay? If you're not, I don't think you should listen to it, because it might interfere with your enjoyment or make you feel bad about enjoying something that's like letting you have a moment of escapism. So, feel free to opt out. And much later, if you want to come back to this episode, it's always going to be there. So I just wanted to put this in here. You'll find out why if you keep on listening. Okay, yeah. It's terrible, and I have been. It's not even that I'm hate watching it. It's difficult for me to watch. So around episode 4-ish, I couldn't anymore. Like at episode 4, I had such a rage stroke. I couldn't even. I spent like 2 weeks just, I don't know, pacing back and forth in my mind, grumbling under my breath, randomly breaking out in rants in the middle. My dad got worried because I was like arguing with a wall at one point of time. Just like, it's so bad.
And it's got a really high rating on MDO.
People are really enjoying this drama.
That is what I want to talk about. But
This is a
let
rating
me-
I see, and I think, oh, that's a good drama. I should watch it. 8.3. Okay, tell us.
So where do I listen? I'm okay. After episode 4, what happened was I had a rage stroke. So weeks went by where I was like, I don't think I can pick this up again. I kept reading other people's reactions to this drama, which were all about how cute Rowan is, how amazing these scenes are, and how, like, those clips from the drama that spread across the internet being like, oh my God, so cute. He's being jealous. Oh my God. She's gotten over the guy she had a crush on. She now has a crush on this guy. All of those cutesy scenes, people falling over themselves. And I'm like, are you watching a different version? Was I plagued with a version that was specifically bad, that was sent to me like a curse? Maybe only I watched that version. Maybe everybody else watched something else, because nothing else explains this. So I was like, I will try to keep watching this drama. Maybe it gets better, because there are dramas that do that. Sometimes they give me a rage stroke, but then, few episodes on, they actually get better. And then you're like, okay, maybe I can deal with this. I don't know if I can talk about this drama with any kind of level-headedness, balance. Objectivity is a far distant, it doesn't exist on this planet. I'm not objective about this. Rowan is the reason I started watching this drama, because I like Joboa, but Joboa also tends to, most of her drama choices are odd. Like, she chooses characters where she plays the kind of heroine I dislike a lot. Like, she doesn't make a lot of sensible choices. She's also weirdly, she plays women written by men. That's what she plays. Okay?
Yeah.
Again, may I point out that this script has been written by a woman. But Joboa's character is still a woman written by a man. How that happened, I cannot explain. But she is. She is one of those women who, she's a working class woman in a municipal, I don't know what you guys call it, like a council building, a city hall, basically. City council. So Onju City's city hall, and she is a worker who is part of the Parks and Rec department. And she's bullied by the department head because he believes that he didn't get a promotion because she complained about him at one point over a misunderstanding. And so he excludes her from everything to do with, like, all your group meals, everything. And her other team members who are also female, they are bitchy. They ignore her. They are horrible to her. And all of this stuff goes on till, like, the department's, like, actual head comes back from a hiatus she was on, who was really nice, who's great, who's excellent. And she kind of sorts it out. But she sorts it out in this magical way. She's played by Lee Bong-ryun. Love that actress. She sorts it out in that magical way where she just scolds the team once and everything else is sorted. And then the department head who was bullying Joboa's character for many episodes initially, he suddenly becomes a heroic character who's redeemed. Just, that is one aspect. Okay, aspect 2. So she...
I feel like we're watching you unravel.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry, we're here. We'll catch you.
So, again, Joboa's character is called Hongju. I forget her last name. Lee Hongju, right. So, Lee Hongju is this working class girl. She's bullied in her office. She doesn't have any friends. She makes a point of repeatedly saying how much she doesn't have any friends, has nobody to talk to. Her dad passed away when she was young. So, she's a sad orphan girl. K-drama heroine, check marks. Start with your bingo cards. Take them out. Start ticking them, please. She has a crush on an unattainable second lead. She confesses her feelings at one point, embarrasses herself right in front of the male lead, of course. Bingo card checked again. Is rejected by the second male lead. Everybody finds out she's utterly humiliated. Bingo card checked again. Let me see, what else has she done? So she is so desperate for affection that at one point, because this is like an office romance / witchy drama. So there is a spell book involved, which the male lead hands her, because she may or may not be the reincarnation of a Joseon era witch called Engcho. Not that is explained very much initially in the drama. Did I mention it's full of spoilers, what I'm saying right now? This is a spoiler segment. So she is casting spells. Great. At one point, she casts... So she desperately wants a second lead's affection, right? And so she uses the love spell after being rejected. So hoping that he falls in love with her.
Hey, editor's note again. So I didn't do a good job of explaining why I found the love spell so offensive. So I just want to quickly insert a note here, because initially I just blindly assumed that everybody would understand why using a love spell is, like, morally, ethically wrong. but the fact that love spells don't actually exist, because magic doesn't actually exist, kind of interferes with that assumption. Like, a lot of people are like, what does it matter when it's not real? It's magic. You're overthinking it. But here's the thing, that's not how human morality works. Just because the hypothetical situation is, hypothetical and also magical, it doesn't mean that human ethics don't apply. If you read the fantasy genre, you would realize that whether you have magic in a world or not, you still need to have a consistent ethical application of your morals. Otherwise, the laws of human goodness, kindness, right and wrong, as vague and abstract as all of those concepts are, none of those apply to that worldview. So even when you're talking about a fantasy story, the same morals that we apply to our real world also have to apply to that. And also, philosophy works that way. The oldest philosophical debates were always around these abstract, really out there scenarios. Things like, what if a goddess comes to you and gives you these two deals? Which one would you choose? It was a way to sort of work out our philosophical pathways. So when I say that using a love spell on a person is wrong, I'm using the same morality as you would apply to things like making somebody really drunk so they can't resist your advances. Or maybe if you don't want to go to that extreme, then catfishing someone, lying to someone about who you are, the values you hold, just pretending to be somebody completely different, so that they would fall in love with you, and then you slowly reveal your real self, and they realize that, hey, that's not the person I fell in love with. Just like in those scenarios, you would definitely not be rooting for the person who's lying to win the love of the other person. Using something like a love spell, from a philosophical point of view, is wrong because you're manipulating the other person against their will.
And the male lead knows that she might use the love spell because he has an eidetic memory. He knows every spell in the book. So the male lead knows about what's in the spell book. He never tells her, dude, this is unethical to do. I point this out because of what happens next. The spell she casts mistakenly falls on the male lead instead of the second male lead. And so then he comes to her and is like, I fall in love with you, even though 5 minutes ago he was horrible to her. He's still horrible to her. But like, because it's Rowan, he turns on the... My God, Rowan is such... He is the reason this drama is doing as fantastically. His performance is brilliant. I had no idea he could play a jackass this well. But he is a charming jackass. He is beyond... Like, you remember how in Secret Garden, how Human was a jackass, but he also had moments where he made your heart... No, he has nothing. He has nothing to Rowan. Rowan is the epitome of K-drama a-hole hero, where he is the most horrid to the heroine ever, uses her vulnerabilities and publicly shames her. And then he will turn around and say such sweet things that you're stunned. Like, she is left speechless, and so are we. And
it sounds very 2010s.
It is very 2010s. It is so 2010s. But you know the worst part? The writers think that they are doing something new. And it's...
Oh, Lord.
Are the writers in their 20s?
Probably. No, they aren't, because this is written by Noji Sul, who's in her 40s. She knows. She's bringing those tropes back. No, but the viewers think this is something new, which is just giving
that
me...
makes sense. Because the viewers are like new wave viewers, right? They're like
yeah.
the post-Netflix, post-Chloe arrivers
The things
who haven't
that this
gone
guy
through.
does... He's a cheater, by the way. He has a steady long-term girlfriend, but his family has been cursed. He thinks he has a disease. He's probably going to end up dying, whatever. So he's looking for a way out. That's why he gets a spell book. He figures out she's the only one who can cast the spell, so hands her the spell book because the spell book has a anti-curse spell that he wants her to cast. When he hands her the spell book, he's like, just give me one spell, cast one spell for me. Everything else is yours. and repeatedly uses this one joke where he's like, you can have the fair skin spell, I won't use that, and just apparently he thinks this is hilarious because he says it numerous times. You can have the fair skin spell. How is this fun? Okay, so he's sexist and he is classist. He compares her to knockoff brands. Like, he's like, I'm dating a goddess, why am I attracted to someone like you? Why would I even like you if it wasn't for the spell? And then when he's complaining to his friend, he's like, I know the difference between the real brand and the knockoff. Why would I want the knockoff? And the friend is like, buy both. He doesn't know that this asshole is talking about women. Okay. So I'm not being very constructive in my criticism here. What I'm trying to explain through my rage aneurysms is that this is really 2010. However, do you guys remember the 2010 dramas that we most often think back to? Things like Kim Samsun, Secret Garden, all of those, like even things like Gong. They spoke about classism clearly. They talked, like, if you with Kim Samsun, they spoke about things like fat phobia, just like the superficiality.
Kim Samsun is actually pre-2010, by the way.
Yeah, of course it is.
So
Actually,
it's good,
pre-2010 dramas were even better with some of these themes. Yeah. They were explicit in what they were discussing. The problem, I think, what is really getting to me right now is not the exploration of these themes, but the blindness with which these tropes are brought back, but not connected to any deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Like, this guy doesn't seem to realize what he's doing is classist, that this is classism and it's wrong. When he keeps talking about how she would want to use the fair skin spell, he's being superficial and he's casting her as someone superficial. My point is that there is nothing tethering these toxic moments. There is no character arc. He's not getting better. She is definitely not getting better. She's the kind of heroine she's only kind when, I don't know, somebody's drowning right in front of her. But aside from that, she doesn't really think of or empathize with anybody else. Like, she doesn't see anybody else's pain but her own. She is your typical, very, very stereotypical heroine. But she's still kind because if there is somebody drowning in front of her, she will absolutely try to go and save that person. Whereas the hero will probably stand around and be like, my shoes will get dirty. This is exactly that level of storytelling. My shoes will get dirty. Should I even go and save this child? Such a scene does not happen, but I'm trying to give you an idea of the kind of writing involved here.
But we would have those kind of heroes that would start the drama like that, and then they would be made to suffer. And then they would change.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Secret Garden being one of those.
Correct. The problem here is that they are using the most superficial reasons for those tropes. Like, at one point, I think it's episode 6-ish, Rowan's character tells, so Rowan's character's name is Jang Shinu. So Jang Shinu, this rich guy, by the way, rich hotshot lawyer, deigns to work for the city hall because, well, he doesn't really need his hotshot job. He's super rich to begin with. Also, he thinks he's dying, so he just, whatever. So point is that he doesn't die, by the way. This is not that story. Anyway, I'm so all over the place with this drama. What was I saying? Why did I bring up his name to begin with? At one point, because this girl, so he keeps going back and forth. So once he's under the love spell, he suddenly does a 180 and he's like, your face makes my heart beat faster. Stop looking at me. Stop taking my calls. Why did you read my message? Stop reading my message. When I call you, don't turn around. Why did you turn around? It's giving very 2010s K-drama hero. You are making my heart beat, therefore take responsibility type of shit. And he keeps saying that. It's your responsibility, take responsibility. And initially, Jo Boa's character is all like, listen, just like leave me alone. I have a crush on somebody else. You were never meant to be the person who drinks the potion anyway. Why did you? But then he keeps coming to her and it's like, it's your fault. Eventually, she's like, yeah, it's my fault. And they give them so many romantic moments initially that are completely unearned. Because he is, like I said, he doesn't like her as a person. From the very moment they met, he's been nasty to her. okay, to a point where his girlfriend, who used to be so Hongju's school bully, and so the girlfriend is played by Yura. Her name is Nayeon. So Nayeon used to be Hongju's school bully, and like obviously Rowan's character doesn't know that. She knew, who's in a long-term relationship with Nayeon. So at one point, he sees these two meeting, and Nayeon is trying to apologize to Hongjo, and Hongjo is like, I don't believe you've changed. I will not forgive you. Not knowing the context of the conversation at all, he walks in and is like, how dare you not forgive her? Have you never made a mistake? This is why nobody in your department wants to eat with you. Have you ever thought that maybe the problem is not that other people are bullying you, the problem is with you? I have never hated a K-drama hero so early and so violently. And this is Rowan, an actor I watch freaking every drama that he acts in. I don't understand. I don't understand his choices. Is he okay? But he's getting rewarded for this choice, so he will likely keep doing this.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of am getting flashbacks to the Pug and Bin drama that he did, the King's Affection.
I
with all
like
of
King's
the-
Affection.
I know, but I didn't
though.
finish it. I dropped it while it was still making me angry, isn't it? Like those
Yeah.
the unearned romance and
The
just,
unearned
like,
romance,
yeah.
especially when they would do like the gender flips. But okay, so sticking to this drama, there is a moment around episode 6, which I got distracted from. Shinyu's character tells Hongjo that I have never felt like this about another woman. You make the world, I don't know, brighter, whatever. One of those dialogues, right? Again, he's in the throes of the spell right now. He's also drunk out of his mind when he's saying all of these things. The drama has maintained throughout this period that Hongjo's character doesn't really have feelings for this guy, even though she's kind of softening because he's just being so, like, he's pursuing her with
Persistent.
all charms fully turned on. Yeah. But he's also nasty in between those things. Like, he gives one sweet dialogue and then, like, 90 minutes of just being nasty to her. So I'm very confused about what about this dynamic is supposed to be romantic. Except nothing is changing. And so I got frustrated because it was damn hard to keep watching when I'm getting mad every 5 minutes. I fast forwarded to the latest episodes, and the dynamic has not changed at all. It has gotten worse. They have stopped using the spell as an excuse for his feelings. He's just full on cheating on his girlfriend at this point. As in, by cheating, he's pursuing Hongjo while still in a relationship with this girl. And Hongjo's like, but if you love me, why are you doing this to me? And the girlfriend found out. She's come and slapped Hongju and we accused her of like stealing her boyfriend. It's become a makjang. But also,
But those are addictive, and that's probably why people like them, right? Because they like
but
the drama.
nobody is discussing the makjang elements of it. Like with Penthouse, people were talking about how makjang it was, how toxic it was. People were talking about the things that
Yeah.
were wrong with it.
I think-
Nobody's talking about it. Sorry, go on.
I mean, I am not watching this drama, obviously, but I feel like this goes back to, I think we discussed this off mic after we finished recording our episode with Zainab Paroma about the Someday or One Day remake, the Korean remake called Time Called You. And like, there is this, for some people who watch K-dramas, they are definitely going for the aesthetic above all else. And I feel like K-dramas have already, like, always really cared about aesthetic. That's like one of the things that, honestly, like, that's one of the things I enjoy about them, is the aesthetic is amazing. And it's always been, ahead of a lot of other, TV industries, not just in terms of production quality, but just like the visual storytelling and the beauty and the style with which they, construct the sets and the fashion and the makeup and the hair and the, the extremely on trendness of K-dramas. That's like part of their appeal. But I think that some people who make K-dramas have seen that and noticed that and decided that, like, that's the most important part of K-dramas, and the most important part of K-dramas is the storytelling. And so if you lose sight of the fact that the storytelling matters the most and you focus more on the aesthetics, and then also those types of shows end up becoming very successful and very popular and becomes kind of the main perception that many viewers have of what K-dramas are and what they do and what they're here to watch, then you end up creating this dynamic of these like really aesthetic over storytelling shows that end up becoming very popular. And it is, okay, so baby, it's full of unearned romantic moments, but what if those memeable, beautiful romantic moments with two gorgeous actors that you see on Instagram is like the way that you enjoy this drama? Then you're going to be fine with that,
Yeah, basically that's exactly what's happening. See, okay, two things. First is, from the writer's perspective, I feel like what they really wanted to do was tell a story of this rich man who's fallen for this poor woman, but his pride in his own class won't let him admit it. So he has all of these agonies going on. However, they decided for modern times where this would offend people's sensibility, let's put in a magic angle. So he hasn't fallen in love, like he's not cheating because he wants to, but because he's under a spell. And that is why he is excused for what he's feeling, but also the blame falls on the heroine for having cast the spell. So now they have switched accountability in such a horrible way.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of feelings about this.
I can go on. I shouldn't.
We'll need a
I
drink of
shouldn't.
water.
I shouldn't.
Yeah, I just want to also say, like, sorry. I know we've talked a lot about negative things. We still do love dramas, but all of us are watching Moving. We're really excited and we love it. We're going to talk about it in an upcoming episode. And do you want to like just quickly, like 1 minute each, talk about one drama that we're excited for before we sign off?
Well, the one I'm looking forward to that's coming up is Worst of Evil, the Ji Chang-wook Hee drama that's about to drop. I'm a bit like, I mean, it's not Netflix, it's like a Disney Plus, so it could be good. So I'm going to check it out. And it's Ji Chang-wook back in an action drama, which hasn't happened since like K2, where he swore off them. And it's been 10 years nearly since then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited about that. I have no idea how it's going to turn out.
Let's go with the excitement for now. Do you have one more, Mush? Should I go next?
Yeah, I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to, but I'm interested in seeing what they do with the story. Strong Girl Namsoon. So it's an actual sequel to Strong Girl The Wongsun, and we all know how conflicted we were with that. Like, part of us loves the romance, part of us
We weren't conflicted. We loved
so
the romance.
many.
We hated everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
I even had problems with some aspect of the romance, but like again, not with Young-shiki. Young-shiki was perfection. But yeah.
Anyway, so okay.
Namso, I'm kind of interested in seeing what they do, because this is 3 generations of women with supernatural strength, and I kind of want to see what they do when it's more focused on women that way. And I want to see if they have a more interesting take on women with supernatural strength in this story than they had with the Bongsun.
Exciting. Okay, I am looking most forward to Castaway Diva, which is the Park Eun-bin drama where she has been. It's coming in about a month, end of October, and she's like been on she's been abandoned by herself on a deserted island for 15 years, and it's about her like re-entering society. So it's a challenging role, and Park Eun-bin can definitely rise to the challenge, and it's different. And I just love her, and I want to see her do this. So that's what I'm excited.
There's
for.
one more I'm excited about. By excited, I mean curious. Twinkling Watermelon, which I think is going to start tomorrow, and it seems to have time travel or something.
Wait, is this the one where she has her parents are hearing impaired, or her parents are deaf, and
and then like the boy goes back to the 1990s and meets his future father. And so it's like, I don't know, I'll probably plan to check out 1 or 2 episodes, but we'll have to see how the tone lands.
I have one more too. It's A Good Day to Be a Dog.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wait,
this has
you guys are looking forward to this? I don't understand. I
read the
anything
webtoon
about this. Oh, okay. The promos are making me feel crazy. I don't know.
I mean, it would because they can't explain too much in the promos. But it's a sweet drama. Okay, but here's the thing. Do you guys remember See You? See You in My 19th Life? It was a webtoon written by Ihe. This is also a webtoon written by Ihe. And we all know what happened to the adaptation. And I don't think the same team is adapting it, like the same production house. Like, I don't know for sure, but definitely not the same team. I don't know about the production house. So I'm really hoping that this one is done better. It's got Cha Eun-woo and Park Go-young. So
That's
you
why
know,
Anissa's not
fingers crossed.
excited.
Because of
Do you know?
Chago?
Yeah.
I really love her though. So if you
Park
guys
Go-young
tell me
is
it's
so
good,
good.
I will.
she
watch it
is
for
the
her.
one who's going to be transforming into
Yeah.
a puppy. So
That's so
Yeah.
strange.
yeah.
It's very strange.
You know,
It's
Twinkling
extremely
Watermelon
strange.
is written by the screenwriter of Kill Me, Heal Me, Chicago Typewriter.
That's why I was excited.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was looking at this premise and I'm like, why was I so
yeah,
interested in
I
this?
couldn't
Yeah,
remember
okay.
either. I just looked it up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe we'll be back next month to talk
I also
about
really
them.
like Che Hyunuk. I really liked him in 25-21.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh,
He
I
was
think I've
the
seen him
dumb
in
music
something.
friend in that. He was really
Oh,
good.
Weak
He
Hero
was-
Class, right? That's Class 1, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also in DP.
Oh,
Anyway,
and in
okay.
Juicen, right.
I know we have to wrap up. I'm
We
sorry.
do have to go.
yeah.
Bye.
So where can people find us really quick?
They can find us on Twitters, which we aren't calling it what Elon Musk wants us to call it, at Dramas Overflow. They can find you can find me at Not Now Saya.
You can find me at Anissa Khalifa _
You can find me, Paroma, at the Drama Notes. You can also find us on drama. You can also find us on Instagram at dramasoverflowers_, and you can email us at dramasoverflowers.gmail.com. What? At gmail.com.
You did that last time too.
Yeah. Sorry. You can also email us at dramasoverflowers@gmail.com.
Yeah, and you can find our website at dramasoverflowers.net, and our newsletter is at dramasoverflowers.substack.com, or you can just sign up in the link below. I also just wanted to say, by the time this episode comes out, I'm hosting a new show. It will have premiered by the time this comes out. Yeah. If you are an American and you live in the South, or you have a connection to the South, or you love someone who lives in the South, or you're curious about the South, it's going to be a weekly news and culture podcast about stories from and about the South and why they matter beyond the South. So I'm going to be hosting it. It's from WUNC. It's called The Broadside. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. I'd really appreciate if you gave it a listen.
I'm sorry,
We gotta
can
put
we
the
not
link
act
to
like
it below.
Anissa isn't our biggest draw for this show? Everyone go and listen to it because it's Anissa, and you'll be fascinated by the subject because of the way that she covers it and the way that she presents it. Stop selling yourself short, woman.
And just listen to the trailer. You would want to listen to the podcast, mostly listen to the trailer. We're going to link that below.
yeah.
It's going to be the first link on top. Click it, go listen to the trailer, subscribe to the podcast.
Yes, and we know you're all nerds. You're going to find it fascinating either way. Okay.
Yeah, so first
Okay.
episode is actually not specific to the South. It's about why everyone is now saying y'all, even people who have never
Even me.
been to the South. Yeah,
That
even
sounds-
Saya.
That sounds connected to this South. I say it, and I'm in India.
Right, exactly. It's become part of global
I'm in the south of
English.
England, so it counts.
But if you're oh yeah, there you go.
and the
If
south
you're
of London, there we are.
familiar at all with American media, the Southern accent is very stigmatized. It's associated with being like dumb and anti-intellectual and racist. I mean, there's a lot of stigma around the Southern accent. People
Don't give them spoilers. Shh.
work on getting rid of it. Anyway, I'm just saying, we go into why y'all is becoming popular and has been. So listen to that to find out. Okay, that's it.
Yay.
Hopefully we'll come back next time with more positive feelings about the shows that we've been watching.
Yeah.
Bye,
We just needed to
y'all.
get this episode out. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.